A homeless girl healed a billionaire's daughter when the world's best doctors failed. Chief Peter had tried everything, surgeons, specialists, miracles. Nothing worked until Amaka. But just when he thought the miracle was enough, the president himself heard about the girl with healing hands. Now his own son lies in a coma, and Amaka has been summoned. Will she do it again? Or was the first miracle just a stroke of luck? Sit back, relax, and grab your popcorn, because what happens next will leave you speechless. And if this is your first time on the channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, and join us for more powerful stories like this one. Amaka stood by the balcony, her eyes gently scanning the trimmed hedges, the glass pool, the luxury that surrounded her, yet felt so distant from who she was. Behind her, Chief Peter appeared, dressed in a clean black shirt and matching trousers. He wasn't the same man from weeks ago. There was a new lightness in his step, though his voice still carried the weight of disbelief. "Amaka," he said softly. She turned. "Yes, sir?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver key, resting it on his palm. Chief Peter handed Amaka a small silver key. "This mansion is yours," he said. 5 bedrooms, staff, cars, a private chef. You saved my daughter's life. It's the least I can do." Amaka looked at the key but didn't take it. "I didn't heal her," she said quietly. "God did." Peter nodded slowly. "But he used you." Amaka met his eyes. "I don't want payment for obedience. I didn't perform a service. I followed a calling." "You lived on the street," he said, confused. "You had nothing." "I still don't want a mansion," she said. "All I need is a small room, somewhere to sleep, somewhere to pray. That's enough." Peter was speechless. He had dealt with politicians, tycoons, men of God, but this teenage girl, barefoot and unpolished, had something they didn't: conviction, humility. She wasn't moved by wealth or power or reward. "You're not like anyone I have ever met," he said. "I'm not trying to be," Amaka replied. "I just don't want to forget who I was before you met me." He stared at her for a moment longer. Then he tucked the key back into his pocket. "Okay," he said, "then let me offer something you can't refuse." Amaka raised an eyebrow. He pulled a folder from the table nearby and opened it slowly. "I want to adopt you." Amaka froze. "Not because of what you did, but because of who you are. You deserve a family who sees you, respects you, loves you." She blinked, uncertain whether to speak or cry. "I've already signed the papers. If you say yes, it becomes official today." Amaka covered her mouth. No one had ever claimed her before. Not since her parents died. Not since the village branded her a curse. "Why would you do that?" she whispered. Peter looked her in the eye. "Because you gave me my daughter back. Now let me give you yours." Tears slipped from her eyes. She nodded once. "Yes." That evening, Princess hugged her tightly. "Sister," she whispered. Amaka smiled through tears. "Sister." That night, they shared a room, and for the first time in her life, Amaka fell asleep without fear. No curses, no stones, no lies. Just a bed, a home, and a name she could finally be proud of. Her own. 2 weeks after the adoption, Chief Peter enrolled Amaka at the same prestigious private school Princess attended. The same driver took them to school each morning. They wore matching uniforms. Princess beamed with joy at her side every day, introducing Amaka as "my sister." Though Amaka wasn't used to all the attention, she was adjusting. Slowly, she sat in a classroom with air conditioning. She ate meals she didn't have to beg for. Teachers treated her with respect. Some students whispered when she walked by, but not like the village. This time they whispered with curiosity, even awe. They all knew who she was, the girl who made a billionaire's daughter walk. But no matter how much her life changed, Amaka didn't lose her humility. She still woke early, still read her Bible under her pillow, still crushed roots and dried leaves in a small bowl near her window, just in case someone needed healing. And people did come. It started with a cleaner from the estate, then a teacher at school, then someone's uncle from church. Amaka never turned anyone away. She never charged a kobo. She only prayed, listened, and gave what she had. And she never forgot the village that cast her out. One quiet Saturday morning, Chief Peter found her in the living room, holding an old folded wrapper in her hands. It was the same wrapper she used to sleep on when she lived outside the market. I want to go back, she said. Peter furrowed his brow. Back where? To the village. His voice dropped. You don't owe them anything. I know, she replied, but I have to forgive them. Not for them, but for me. Peter sat down across from her. If you do this, it's your choice, but I'm sending security with you. That's not up for debate. When Amaka arrived in the village, it was like the wind itself paused to whisper her name. Children pointed. Adults watched in silence. Some ran to call others. Within minutes, a crowd gathered at the square where they once cursed her, threw stones, and called her a bichwam. Now they were quiet. One man broke the silence. Amaka, is it true? You healed that rich man's daughter? Amaka didn't boast. She simply nodded. They gasped. A second woman ran forward, clutching her chest. I always said that girl had a gift. Others chimed in. She was different. We didn't understand. She's a chosen one. But Amaka wasn't looking at them. Her eyes were fixed on one person standing at the edge of the crowd. Mama Nkechi, older, leaner, still proud, but something in her eyes had changed. Regret, shame, bitterness. Mama Nkechi didn't speak. She turned and began walking back to her compound. Amaka followed. When she reached the familiar wooden door of her old house, she paused, then knocked. Mama Nkechi opened it. You've come to show me what I lost? Amaka shook her head. I came to forgive you. The older woman scoffed. You think your success makes you better than me? No, Amaka said. It just gave me the chance to show mercy. Mama Nkechi crossed her arms. What do you want from me? Nothing, Amaka replied. I came to take you and the girls with me to the city. You're still my family. Mama Nkechi looked stunned. Why would you do that? Because we don't repay evil with evil. You taught me pain, but God taught me purpose. Mama Nkechi didn't smile, but she didn't say no either. The next morning, Amaka returned to the city with Mama Nkechi and her two daughters, Jane and Ada, in tow. Chief Peter was not pleased. You brought her here? He asked, arms folded in disbelief. She's my stepmother, Amaka said, and Jane and Ada are my sisters. She tried to destroy you. I know, Amaka said calmly, but I'm not here to destroy her back. Peter said nothing for a moment. Then he nodded. They can stay, but I'm watching her. Days passed, then weeks. Mama Nkechi smiled often, but her eyes told a different story. She watched Amaka with envy, watched how Princess laughed with her, watched how the guards respected her, watched how Chief Peter looked at her with pride. And every night, Mama Nkechi repeated the same words under her breath. It should have been my daughter. Jane should have been the one with the gift, not the witch girl. Her bitterness grew quietly, fed by comparison. Amaka noticed, but she said nothing. Forgiveness doesn't mean blindness. One evening, as Amaka sat in the garden, studying for her school exams, she had another vision. She was sitting at a long dining table. Across from her was the president of the nation. He was smiling, grateful, honored to meet her, and he called her by name. She gasped and woke from the vision. The feeling was so real, her hands trembled. She went to Chief Peter immediately. I saw the president, she said. I think something is coming. Peter stared at her seriously. It's a sign, he said. Greatness is calling again. But in another corner of the house, behind a closed door, Mama Nkechi listened, and her bitterness turned to something darker. Dinner that night was quiet. Princess and Amaka sat on one side of the long dining table, chatting softly about school. Chief Peter occasionally smiled, though he barely touched his food. Jane and Ada, Mama Nkechi's daughters, sat across from them, mostly quiet, observing the luxury like children in a museum. Mama Nkechi sat at the far end of the table. She smiled often, too often, a forced, tight-lipped curve that didn't reach her eyes. She nodded at the staff, laughed too quickly, and thanked the cook 3 times. But beneath the surface, resentment brewed like boiling oil. She watched Amaka cut her chicken with precision. She watched Princess lean into Amaka as they whispered and giggled. She watched Chief Peter look at the girl, not like a guest, but like a daughter. Her jaw tightened. It should have been Jane. Her Jane, the quiet, obedient one. The one who didn't see visions or crush leaves in bowls. She was the daughter who deserved a mansion, a scholarship, attention, not the witch child. Everything all right? Chief Peter asked her. She blinked quickly and forced a smile. Yes, yes, just grateful. This food is so soft, I'm almost crying. Peter gave a polite nod and returned to his meal, but he was watching her too. Something about her tone didn't sit right. Later that night, while everyone settled into their rooms, Mama Nkechi stood alone by the garden, looking up at the balcony where Amaka sat reading under the warm outdoor light. Amaka didn't see her, but Jane, walking past, did. Mama, you're not going to do anything funny, right? Mama Nkechi turned sharply. What are you saying? Jane hesitated. You're staring at her a lot lately. You don't smile for real anymore. Mind your business, her mother snapped. That girl is the reason your father left us. That girl is the reason I was shamed. Jane lowered her gaze. But she forgave you. She brought us here. Ma. Manenkichi didn't reply, because deep inside she couldn't accept that truth. To her, Amaka's forgiveness felt like pity. And pity, when you're proud, tastes worse than humiliation. The next morning, the estate buzzed with activity. Princess and Amaka prepared for school. Chief Peter left for a meeting with state officials. The guards rotated shifts. The chef planned a small lunch party for Princess Academic Award. Mama Nkechi stood in the kitchen, pretending to help the cook. Where are you going this early? She asked Amaka as she walked past. School, Amaka replied. We have exams. Mama Nkechi smiled. Smart girl, may your head never fail you. Amaka smiled faintly. Thank you, Mama. Mama Nkechi watched her walk out. Her fingers gripped the edge of the kitchen sink. Once Amaka left, she returned to her room and pulled out a folded cloth from her bag. Inside it, a small piece of brown paper with an address written in smudged ink. She had been keeping it since the day they arrived in Lagos. An herbalist, deep in Ajagunle, known to cleanse destinies and reverse stolen stars. That afternoon, she lied to the housekeeper. I need to go to the market. Let me buy fresh fish for dinner. You city people don't know how to pick the good ones. The housekeeper nodded. Just don't go far. She left with £50,000 Amaka had given her 2 days earlier to buy slippers for Jane. By 2 p.m., she was sitting in a dark hut, across from a man with chalk on his face and cowries on his neck. She has stolen my glory, Mama Nkechi said. Everything that should belong to my daughter now belongs to her. The man narrowed his eyes. You want to bring her down? No, I want her to disappear. The man paused. That will cost you. I have money. He reached into a bag and pulled out a small bottle with thick black liquid. Add a few drops into her food, he said. She won't die, not immediately, but slowly her body will reject itself. She'll fade. Mama Nkechi nodded and handed him the money. By evening, she was back at the mansion holding a bag of smoked fish and something else in her wrapper. That night, Amaka was helping Jane study. They sat in the lounge, notebooks open, diagrams drawn. Mama Nkechi brought them a plate of jollof rice and fried plantain. You must be hungry, she said sweetly. You read too much. Thank you, Amaka said, reaching for the spoon. But just as she was about to eat, a knock came. A guard opened the door. Oga is calling you. He says it's urgent. Amaka stood. Jane, keep reading. I'll be back in 5 minutes. She placed the food in front of Jane and left. 10 minutes later, the house shook with screams. Jane had collapsed, clutching her stomach. Foam spilled from her mouth. The chef, the maid, and 2 guards ran in. Chaos. Someone screamed, Call Chief! The doctor arrived first, but it was too late. Jane's body went still, and when Amaka returned, she fell to her knees. Jane? Then something strange happened. Amaka touched her chest, and immediately turned to Mama Nkechi. Her face went pale. You tried to kill me, Amaka said. Mama Nkechi broke down in tears. I didn't mean, it was meant for... The confession spilled from her lips. The bottle was found in her wrapper. The money traced. Chief Peter stood in the corner, stone-faced. He turned to the guards. Take her away. Mama, Ada screamed, but Mama Nkechi didn't fight. She was too broken to resist. As they dragged her out, she looked at Amaka. You should have never come back. And Amaka whispered, that's where you're wrong, because now I'm not the one leaving. The silence in the mansion after Mama Nkechi's arrest was heavy. No one said much, no one dared. Amaka had moved into her room without a word. Her eyes were dry, but inside something had broken. Not from the betrayal, it was the loss of Jane that haunted her. A quiet girl, a sister, an innocent. Princess had stayed with her all night, not asking questions, just sitting beside her. I gave her the food, Amaka whispered once, hours later. I handed it to her. Princess held her tighter. She wanted to hurt you, but you're still here. That means God still wants you here. Chief Peter spent the next morning in silence. He had already spoken to the police. The press had caught wind of something happening in the mansion, but he kept it under wraps for now. He had already lost a child to darkness. He wouldn't let the world spin this into another lie about Amaka. On the third morning after the tragedy, just after breakfast, Chief Peter got a call. Unknown number. He almost didn't pick, but something told him to. The voice on the other end was deep and composed. Is this Chief Peter Okoye? Yes. Who's this? This is President Uduak's personal secretary. The president would like to speak with you. Chief Peter nearly dropped his phone. Seconds later, a different voice came on the line. Older, powerful, tried. Chief Peter, I've been following the story of your daughter and the girl who healed her. Chief Peter stood up. Yes, Your Excellency. I'm calling because I need her. Chief Peter paused. Amaka? Yes, my only son has been in a coma for 4 months. Every doctor in this country and abroad has failed. They say the boy's alive, but his soul has gone. His mother is breaking. I am breaking. I understand, sir. I'm not asking this for politics or headlines, the president continued. I'm calling you father to father, please. Bring her to Aso Rock. That same night, Amaka stood quietly in her room as Chief Peter told her everything. She didn't react, not with shock, not with pride, only calm. When do we leave? She asked. The next morning, a Black State helicopter landed on Chief Peter's private helipad. Military guards lined the gates. The media had no clue. Yet. Amaka wore a simple blue dress and carried her pouch of roots and herbs, tied in a traditional wrapper. Princess hugged her tightly. You're going to heal the first son, she whispered. You are going to make history. Amaka didn't smile. I'm going to obey. Chief Peter placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. She looked him in the eye. Whatever happens, it won't be me. It will be him. Then she boarded the helicopter. Aso Rock Presidential Clinic, Abuja. The presidential residence was massive, more guards than trees, white marble floors, flags of the nation flying at every turn. Amaka walked beside a quiet female officer who led her into the private wing of the medical quarters. Inside a large, quiet room lay the president's son, Joshua, 17 years old, breathing through tubes. Machines blinked and beeped. 3 doctors stood nearby, saying nothing. The First Lady sat at his bedside, praying under her breath. When she saw Amaka, her hands stopped moving. Are you the girl? Amaka nodded once. Yes, Ma. Do you need anything? Yes, Amaka said, setting her bundle down. Hot water, in silence. She crushed the reddish root in her hand, the same root she had once pulled from Chief Peter's garden. She mixed it with dried bitter leaf and a drop of salt. The doctors watched her, puzzled. The president stood in the doorway, his hand clenched. Are you a prophet? He asked. No, sir, Amaka said. Then what are you? I'm just a vessel. She boiled the herbs quickly over a small, sterilized flame, poured the steam into a glass bowl, and took a dropper. When the mixture cooled, she dropped 3 warm drops into the boy's mouth. Then she waited. 10 seconds. 20. A minute. Nothing. The First Lady sobbed. Please! Then a cough. Joshua jerked slightly. Another cough. Then he inhaled, sharp and full like someone gasping for the first breath after drowning. The room erupted. The First Lady screamed with joy. The president dropped to his knees. He's breathing on his own, one doctor yelled. Vitals rising. His pupils. He's conscious. Tears flowed freely. Guards peeked into the room. Chaos. Celebration. Praise. Joshua opened his eyes slowly, looked at his mother, and whispered, Mom. That was all it took. The news would spread like wildfire within the hour. But at that moment, Amaka simply stood at the foot of the bed, whispering to herself, "Thank you, God." Outside, the president took her hand. "I've never knelt for anyone," he said, "but today I will, because you gave me my son back." "You don't have to kneel," she said. "Just help the next person nobody believes." He nodded. "I will. And for you, I want to offer the nation's highest civilian honor and a full scholarship anywhere in the world, medicine, science, whatever you want." She was quiet for a long time. "Medicine," she said finally, "so I can understand the things God already does through me." The world now knew her name, Amaka, once called a witch, now honored by the president of a nation. Her face was on news stations, her story on every blog. But to Amaka, none of that mattered as much as the quiet thought that kept returning in her sleep. You must go back to where it started. Not for revenge, not for applause, but for closure. 2 weeks after the miracle at Aso Rock, Chief Peter received a formal letter from the governor of Anambra State requesting that Amaka return to her village, Umweze, for a special civic honor. The governor himself would be there. National media too. A moment to publicly clear her name and celebrate her gift. Chief Peter read the letter and handed it to her in silence. Amaka read it once, folded it gently. "I'll go," she said. Umweze Village, civic ceremony grounds. They came out in thousands, women in headscarves, old men in flowing agbadas, children with paper signs that read, "We're sorry, Amaka." Plastic chairs lined the dusty square. Traditional music played. Local schoolgirls danced in a circle. Banners stretched across the road. "Welcome home, Amaka, our daughter of healing." A convoy of black SUVs arrived. Princess stepped out first, waving shyly. Then Chief Peter. And finally, Amaka, dressed in a simple white lace gown, hair woven, calm as ever. The cheers erupted. People clapped, sang, some dropped to their knees. Drummers pounded. Women ululated. But not everyone clapped. Some faces were tight with guilt, especially those who once spat at her, threw stones at her, or cursed her name. They looked at her now and couldn't meet her eyes. One of the village elders stood before the crowd, microphone in hand. "Years ago," he said, voice heavy, "this girl, Amaka, was wrongly accused, branded a witch, thrown out by her stepmother, shunned by all of us." He paused, then continued. "We were wrong." The crowd murmured, heads nodded. Some people wiped tears. "Today we repent, and we honor her as a healer, a woman of faith, and a daughter of Umweze." The governor stepped forward and pinned a golden brooch on her dress. "You are now an official peace ambassador of Anambra State." Cheers again, more dancing. Tears flowed freely, but Amaka's eyes drifted to a corner of the square. Empty, the bench where her stepmother once sat. Later that night, back at the mansion, Princess curled beside Amaka in the sitting room. "You didn't smile today," she said. "I wasn't there to smile." "Then why go?" Amaka took a breath. "Because healing isn't just for the sick, it's for the heart too." Princess watched her carefully. "Are you thinking about Mama Nkechi?" Amaka nodded slowly. 2 days later, Federal Women's Prison in Nugu Chief Peter made a few calls. The warden agreed to a brief private visit. The prison was cold, gray, and lifeless. But Amaka walked into the room with a quiet calm. Mama Nkechi was brought in handcuffs. Her face was sunken, her scarf loose, her eyes red. She froze when she saw Amaka. "You," she muttered. "Why are you here?" Amaka didn't answer at first. She just sat. The guard stepped out. "I don't hate you," Amaka said. Mama Nkechi's eyes narrowed. "Don't come here and pretend. I came to say what you never did. Goodbye. I tried to poison you. My own daughter died. What else do you want?" "Nothing," Amaka whispered. "Just peace." Mama Nkechi lowered her head. Her voice broke. "I hated you because you reminded me of what I was too afraid to become. Strong." Amaka stood. "That's between you and God now, but I forgive you. Even after what I did. Yes, because what you did didn't stop what God had already planned." She turned to go. Mama Nkechi cried quietly, hunched on the steel bench. Amaka looked back once, then stepped into the light. That night, Back in the mansion garden, Chief Peter brought her warm tea. She was shocked to see you, he said. She'll carry that shock longer than I ever carried her hatred. He nodded. You're becoming more than what any of us imagined. I'm just trying to be whole, she said. Nothing more. And for the first time since Jane's death, Amaka smiled. Not out of happiness, but peace, Damo. 3 weeks had passed since the miracle that shook the nation. The president's son had woken from a coma with nothing but a drop of Amaka's herbal root on his tongue. The news stations called her the girl with healing hands. Scientists tried to explain it away. Religious leaders debated whether it was medicine or miracle. But Chief Peter didn't care what they called it. His daughter was walking, and the girl they once called a witch had changed all their lives. Amaka now lived in a beautiful but modest apartment in Lakey Phase 1, paid for by Chief Peter, though she had rejected his initial offer of a mansion. I'm not here to be rewarded, she had said. I just want a roof, a bed, and peace, so. But peace had not come easily. Every day, new requests flooded her foundation. Desperate mothers, sick children, strange dreams, and stories of torment. Everyone wanted to touch her, to be near her. Some feared her, some worshipped her. But Amaka kept her routine simple. Pray, study, serve, rest, and visit Princess. They had become inseparable. Two girls once broken, now rising together. At school, people stared when Amaka walked in, but no one dared whisper. She wore her uniform with pride. Princess sat beside her in every class, protective and proud. One afternoon, Chief Peter called Amaka into his private office. She stepped in quietly. His voice was low and calm. I have something for you. He handed her a small brown envelope and a single key. Amaka looked confused. It's a deed and a house key. The place is yours. She held it gently like it might disappear. Sir, I told you I don't need payment. This isn't payment, it's gratitude. You didn't take a mansion, so I bought you a cottage. Somewhere peaceful. Just for you. Amaka smiled faintly. Thank you, but I'm okay where I am. You deserve more. She looked him in the eye. I'm not doing this to deserve anything. God worked through me. I'm just the girl he used. Chief Peter swallowed hard. I forget that sometimes. That's okay, she said. We all do. That night, dreamed again. She stood before a massive gate of gold and glass. On the other side, a large crowd waited. People weeping, limping, coughing, crying, all silent, all watching her. Behind her, a voice said, Go. They are not waiting for a girl. They are waiting for what lives inside her. She turned, but no one was there. 2 days later, the return. She asked Chief Peter for one final favor. I want to go back to Umuezi. Not for honor, not for ceremony, just for one thing. To see Mama Nkechi, he asked gently. Amaka nodded. I need to end this. Not for her, for me. Mama Nkechi had been in prison for nearly a month. After the poisoning of her own daughter, Jane, who had survived but was still recovering, the public outcry was loud. Attempted murder. Malice. Betrayal. But Amaka had said nothing to the press. No interviews, no anger, only silence. Until now. At Enugu Women's Correctional Center, Amaka walked into the prison visitation room. The walls were plain, no sound except a ticking wall clock. Mama Nkechi was brought in, wrists cuffed, scarf loose. Her eyes widened when she saw Amaka. You again? Amaka sat, calm, steady. I came to say goodbye. Mama Nkechi scoffed. To gloat? No, to forgive. Mama Nkechi's lips trembled. Even after what I did? You lost your own child in that moment, Amaka said softly. That pain is already your punishment. Tears filled Tamayin in the older woman's eyes. I hated you because you had something I didn't. I don't know what it is, but I hated it. I know. You should hate me. I don't, Amaka replied, because hate is too heavy for someone trying to heal the world. She stood up. Mama Nkechi, she added, we're not enemies anymore. You just chose fear. I chose faith. She turned and walked out. Mama Nkechi wept silently in her chair. That evening, the rooftop Amaka stood beside Chief Peter and Princess under the stars. She had made her decision. I'm leaving Nigeria for a while, she said. Princess looked alarmed. Where? Switzerland, the president's scholarship. He wants me to train, to study medicine, and research ancient herbs. Chief Peter nodded. I was hoping you'd say yes. But I'll be back, Amok added. This is still home. Princess smiled. Good, because the foundation is not fun without you. Amaka took a deep breath. I never thought I'd leave the village, or wear school uniform, or speak in front of cameras. I never even thought I'd be alive this long. Chief Peter placed a hand on her shoulder. And now the world knows your name. She nodded, but I never want the world to forget why. A month later, National Assembly Hall, Abuja. The president himself gave her the final honor. Amaka of Umueze, by the power vested in me, I declare this day a national day of recognition for traditional healing and gifted youths. People applauded, cameras flashed, but Amaka's eyes stayed on one girl in the front row, a little girl with a limp, holding her mother's hand, smiling at her like she was hope in human form. Amaka smiled back, because she finally knew who she was. Not a witch, not a beggar, not just a healer, a voice for the voiceless, a vessel for grace. The girl God didn't forget. And though her journey was only just beginning, the world would always remember how it started, with a stranger's kindness, a little root, and the girl who dared to believe. Moral of the story, true power is not in wealth, fame, or status. It lies in kindness, faith, and the courage to forgive. This story teaches that rejection is not the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of a divine purpose. Kindness to the forgotten can unlock miracles you never imagined. Gifts misunderstood by man are often treasures seen only by God. Forgiveness is strength, not weakness, and those who forgive rise higher than those who harm. Belief in yourself, even when the world calls you less, can change lives beyond your own. Amaka didn't fight for riches or revenge. She fought to be seen, heard, and understood. And in doing so, she became a light to others the world had ignored. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. If it touched your heart, please let us know in the comments section. We'd love to hear what you learned or how it inspired you. Your thoughts truly matter to us. And guess what? A new, powerful, and life-changing story is coming